So you've decided to give the Maffetone method a try. Why not? What can you lose? Can you improve? Are you able to stay injury-free? Are you actually going to be able to run faster by running slower? These are valid questions, and these are questions that I've thought about over the years that I've used the Maffetone method. Now, there are some clues, and I have some notes just kind of off to the right here. So the Maffetone method was developed by Dr. Phil Maffetone, and it's a holistic approach to training that emphasizes building a strong aerobic base for improving health and performance. So here are 7 clues to help you master the Maffetone method that I have experienced over the last 3 years. The first and most important thing to do is to calculate your MAF heart rate. This is your maximum aerobic function heart rate. It is a key component of the Maffetone method. And to find it, you need to subtract your age by 180. And then you need to adjust for certain factors like injuries, illness, inconsistency of training. And this heart rate represents the upper limit at which you should train aerobically to optimize fat burning and to improve your endurance. Now, quick story, do you need to always run at that number? And I'm going to tell you the answer is no. And I'll tell you why. Technology fails. Technology is not a perfect solution for everything, okay? And so sometimes your watch may go squirrely and may start showing numbers that don't make sense. And then you start to panic. And then you're like, what the heck is wrong with me? What is going on? Meanwhile, your heart rate could have slipped, or the technology on your wrist may just be faltering for some reason. It's kind of hard to really know. So if you're always putting everything into this whole heart rate training and it has to be that number all the time, then look, you may run into problems. It's not always going to work perfectly. So you need to be able to adapt as a runner. Now, the important thing, and this is something that I think a lot of people need to understand, is over time, running at a low heart rate really helps you understand where you are aerobically. It also allows you to get to know your body. So that way, when you're running and your heart rate starts to rise, you can actually feel it without looking at your watch. You know that you're working harder. So you want to be able to train your body, to train the mind, to train your gut feel, to know when you need to kind of step back. You need to pull back. You're going a little too fast, right? Running on gravel, running on trails, running on the road, they're all different surfaces. Even running through the snow is hard. So you need to know, and you need to be able to adapt to your running technique, right? So don't always put everything all in that one basket. That is exactly what needs to happen. Now, again, you don't want to go too far over to the other side, right? You want to make sure that you're running well, that you're paying attention to what you're doing. Now, this may come as a surprise to some of you, but the Maffetone method isn't strictly running. You can use that MAF number in triathlon, right? If you're swimming, if you're cycling, if you're just hiking, you can use that number. It's going to be different, right, for each type of activity that you do, because the effort that you're putting out on a bike is very different than when you're running up a hill. So you need to pay attention to this, and you need to get to know your body, like I just mentioned. Focus at staying in the zone, regardless of what activity that you're doing. I'm going to tell you a story about number 3, because I think it's really valid and it's very important that you know this. If you have been watching my videos in the past, you know that I really harp about patience and consistency. And the reason why I focus a lot on that is because most of us want instant gratification. We literally want to be rich overnight. We want to be faster overnight. We want to see the results immediately. But let me tell you, it doesn't happen like that. That's why we call it marathon training, right? You have to train for the marathon. Sure, you can go out and just run a marathon if you think you can do it, right? And you'll struggle through it, and maybe you will get there and you will complete it, but you're going to be a mess. It's not going to be a good thing. So I look at it like this. It's going to take time. You need to follow a training plan, and you need to be able to take the time to build an aerobic base. You're not going to just start doing sprints right away, and you're not going to start running up hills. You may have to start by walking and slowly work your way up. A run-walk method is a fantastic way for marathon training if you're new, or if you're coming back from an injury, or if you find yourself overweight. It's not a quick fix, this whole Maffetone thing. It takes time, it takes patience, it takes dedication, it takes discipline to be able to see results that you want. So just know that when you go into this, that's what you're dealing with. The consistency is the key. So commit to training at your MAF heart rate regularly, and which will allow your body to adapt and improve and recover in time. Now, the fourth one took me a little bit of time to understand. I'm a pretty healthy eater, besides, the whole vegan junk food stuff that I kind of found myself trapped in the last couple of years. Now, the one thing that I will mention to you is if you are not seeing results in your Maffetone training, you really need to take a deep dive into what you are consuming. What are you eating? Because what you eat is what you become. And if what you're becoming is not in line with where you thought you would be, you need to make some changes, right? You can't continue to eat junk and expect good results in your running. It's just not going to happen. It's like putting crappy gas into a Lamborghini. Like, it's not going to perform. If you want it to perform, you need to give it the good high octane gas. So make sure that you are eating a well-balanced, whole food-based diet, and that will support your overall health and optimal performance. Now focus on the nutritionally dense foods, avoid the processed foods, the sugary items, and stay hydrated. Now, for those of you who are struggling with the whole weight aspect thing, you have to understand this. Insulin, gets triggered when we eat carbohydrates, So we're eating carbohydrates, insulin is released, and then what we don't burn, we start shoving into our fat cells. That's the way it works. So if you are eating fat, like if you're eating an avocado by itself, that's just fat. You burn fat. The reason why people start to gain weight is when they eat a lot of carbohydrates along with a lot of fat that's not necessarily good fat. That all of a sudden is a mechanism where it literally starts to shuttle a lot of that into the fat cells for later use. And typically what happens is we just end up gaining weight. Look, I'm no doctor, right? I'm not any of these types of things, right? These are things that I've learned listening to the Huberman podcast and a number of other people out there who know their facts. So be very aware, like eating vegetables, look, that's fine, right? Like that's what I eat a lot of the time, right? I'm talking a lot of the carbohydrates that are like sugary junk, right? Like junk food, right? Really high processed food, like muffins and bagels and a lot of stuff like that, we can do a lot less with. When people start using the Maffetone method, they start thinking it's all about the formula. The formula is the thing that's going to make me run faster. But I'm sorry to bust your bubble, but it's not, right? It's not it. What tends to happen is we live in a world where there is a lot of stress that's put on us. I know for me, I know what my stress triggers are, right? I know what causes my stress. And so I do a lot of journaling. I do a lot of mindfulness, meditation, yoga. I've started to incorporate to reduce a lot of the stress because we have a lot of that in the world. And I've turned off the news. Like I've started to just eliminate all of the negative news that comes into my life. I just can't handle it anymore. It's just causing too much stress in my life. I just can't handle it anymore. So I really tune out a lot of that noise and I just try to focus on a little good positivity out in the world. And so some of the factors that contribute to a lot of this stress that I've mentioned is work-related stress, lack of sleep, emotional stress, and managing these aspects of your life is crucial to support training goals and prevent overtraining and injury, right? These are important things that, again, a lot of people don't really talk about. Now, here's something for a lot of you runners out there. You know what your body is capable of doing. You know if you're pushing it too hard, but you don't always listen. And if you don't listen to what your body is telling you, you find yourself in a position that you wish that you hadn't gotten yourself into. And then you sit there and beat yourself up about it. So I'm here to say is just pay attention to what your body is responding to in training. If you consistently struggle with the Maffetone method, if your heart rate is just always going above where it should be, if you notice that you're getting signs of fatigue, it may indicate overtraining, and you need to be flexible with your training plan, right? Allowing for rest and recovery when needed is super important. And don't kind of beat yourself up that saying, hey, I just took 4 days off running. This is wrong. I shouldn't be doing this. Look, it's part of the training cycle. You look at any training plan and you've got blocks that are geared towards building up mileage and then having a recovery week, right? Lower mileage. And then maybe you start shifting into some higher intensity running, right? You need to really pay attention to what your body is telling you. Sometimes you need to adapt to that. So if you're working with a coach, fantastic. Talk to them. If you're not, you need to be paying attention to a lot of the cues that your body is giving you, like heart rate recovery, right? You're looking at your resting heart rate. These things are important to see where you're at, because if you're not, if you're pushing it too much, and you can, even by using the Maffetone method, you can push too much. And I've been there. It's happened to me. Last week, I took a step back. I had a really good week in the first week in January. The second week, I kind of tailored it back. The weather started to change. A lot of snowstorms came through. I needed to tailor it back. And that's okay. This week now, I'm going to start kind of gearing it up again, right? I'm in a good place. And you need to be able to pay attention and be adaptable. Regular assessments are something that you need to pay attention to. So if you are using the Maffetone method to improve your training, to get your aerobic base in a good place, right? You're now starting to see if you're running faster. You want to be able to assess that each and every month, right? So if you're assessing your progress by performing fitness tests or races, right? Because races are a good indication of where you're at. You can do a math test, right? See where your heart rate's at, running the same heart rate. See if you're going further, right? In that time. When it comes time to do a math test, you can measure it by doing, a 6-mile run or a 10-kilometer run or a 5K or a 3-mile run. You can measure to see where you're at. And if you're improving month over month, you're going in the right direction. If you're not, this can provide a valuable insight into improvements, into your aerobic fitness and overall performance. But the one thing is you need to remember that the Maffetone method is a personalized approach to you, to you only. And that is important because there's so many variances that can change, right? So pay attention, see what you're doing, and if you're not getting results, then you need to dive into the data to see what's happening. So make sure that you're listening and paying attention. And if you find these videos helpful and enjoyable, maybe think about subscribing, liking the video, buy me a coffee. I'd love to sit down and chat with you, and maybe we can do that. All the links are in the video below. And I really do thank you for your support over the years. And I'm just going to keep on doing what I do because I enjoy helping you improve in your running. And look, you're not alone. You're not the only one. We're in this together. Each and every run we do, I'm here for you all the time. And I appreciate you. So like I always say, get out and run. See you on the next one. Bye for now.
I really wanted to get it right.
And call somebody you love. I'm sure they do appreciate it.
Trying to find some balance in